Okay, it says we're live. I'll just wait a little bit. I fucking hate that when watch a video and it says, "Oh, let's just wait a bit till some people come on," and then I'll fucking then you're fucking sat there holding your dick, like waiting for. Oh, and it says, "Oh, let's just wait a bit till some people come on." It's do you know? See, I told you. That's what happens. It's just come on the thing, and I'm halfway through what I said. So, good evening, if you're there. Welcome to Raconteurs News. I've got what I've got. What we're going to say? I've got crap internet, so if I drop off tonight, I'm going to be coming straight back on. So it's the internet. It's not actually my laptop this time because my laptop's fixed. I've got a new Chromebook as well, which I'm looking at that I've bought. Yeah, hopefully things are going to be a lot better. And I did want to make a little bit of an announcement. I'm going to do what I said that I'd fucking never do. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for donations and try to get enough so that we can pay for this stream yard for a year, because then we'll be able to we'll be able to stream on multi-platform. So we'll be able to stream on Facebook as well as on YouTube. It'll have the RN logo in the top corner rather than powered by StreamYard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to raise enough money. I've got no fucking money. I'm skint. Fucking hell, I've not worked in fucking 2 years since all this fucking leg business. So, we do put a lot of time and effort into it, and I just want to try to raise enough. I don't know how much it's going to be. I think it's something really ridiculous, like $75 or something for a year. I don't know, but anyway, that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and raise that sort of money, and if not, I'll pay for the fucking myself. It's just all about keeping us going and just keeping us talking and keeping everybody. It sometimes it makes me feel a little bit humble when I think that the amount of people that tune in live just to listen to me and Aid, and it's not just going to be me and Aid tonight. But anyway, let's introduce the aforementioned good old Aid. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I don't even know how much a StreamYard is, but one thing just to point out, what we've always maintained is that the YouTube and that it isn't monetized, is it? You know, so
No, we never do that. We don't listen. We don't.
Yeah,
we don't need any money for what we're doing. And
just a bit of help to do the StreamYard thing would help, but you know, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. It's just for that, simply for that. We don't want any money out of it, or we don't. We like doing it, don't we? We enjoy doing it, and we're going to enjoy doing it tonight because we've got we've got someone coming along who will be on as soon as his computer's all cracked, like booted up and everything. But we'll talk more about him a little bit later on. Let's say to some people. Hello to some people in the chat room. We've got Super Leeds, and he's put, I will pay it. So that's a great offer. Thank you for that, Super Leeds. Robert Lonnie's happy to chip in as well. Uni Black Sister hugs you guys. Yes, I think if I got a hug off Taylor, I think it'd be like being a kitten being hugged by a bear. So I can imagine how that is. Saul Bollocks, good evening to you as well. Oi, oi, Dave Iron is in. Evening to you, Ron Malcolm. I'm looking at different places. Yeah, so we've got a good number of people in the chat room, and soon enough, as soon as he can, we're going to have Webby. He's going to be coming back on with us tonight. He's going to be joining us tonight, and we're going to be getting some insight from him. Has your new year been, A-Day? I know you've been pulled from pillar to post, but in general,
yeah, all right, mate.
Celebrate?
Yeah. I've got my mum in hospital again, and she lives about sort of 40 odd mile away. So my sister does 80-90% of what my mum needs. I'm choosing my words incredibly carefully here. So yes, my mum's due to be moved into a little bit of respite care, only for probably a couple of weeks. She fell and broke her hip. Anyway, yeah.
But well, tell us about more joyous things. Tell us about how you brought in 2020, the year of vision, the year that everybody wakes up and sees.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's easy. I can tell you exactly how I brought it in. I look after a neighbour's dog 2 or 3 days a week, and they said to me, "Oh, our son's having a party on New Year's Eve. Would you like, if you're around, would you?" Because they know I love having the dog. So rather than leave him on his own, especially as there are probably fireworks going off at midnight, I said, "Yeah, bring him round, no problem." Now I was expecting that when he said to me, "Oh, we won't be late tonight," it'd mean like sometime before 1 o'clock. You'd expect him to stay at his family's at the party till at least after midnight, and then get home. Knock on my door at 11:20. Hello, and I went, "Oh, right, you're early." He said, "Yeah, we thought we'd come home, and then me and Mrs. can go to bed with a cup of cocoa and bring New Year in, and then go to sleep." I thought, "Oh, great, okay." So off he went with the dog, and I looked at the clock, and I thought, it's not even 11:30 yet. Sod it, I'm going to bed. So I just went to bed.
Nice one.
And I think I heard all these fireworks going off, so I guessed it was midnight, and I think I was laid watching YouTube, not really giving a toss whether it was 12 o'clock or not.
Yeah, I mean, the missus, my missus rarely stays up after 9 o'clock. She's gone to bed tonight now, especially now she's back at work. So she rarely stays up after 9 o'clock. But we did stay up so that we could watch. We watched them blow a load of money in fucking, and just into smithereens rather than giving it to homeless people, which would have fucking done something. We watched all that shit, and then I think it were about 2 minutes after 12 that Danielle went to bed. But then like you say, all the rockets and stuff start going off, and the dog, fucking dog, by the way. My dog, I've got a bone. I know people who know me. Ada, for example. Whenever somebody knocks on my door, my dog thinks it's for him, and then I start. If I'm in on my own, or even if I'm in with Danielle, he as I'm going through the door, he attacks me. He attacks the back of my chair. He attacks the back of the chair. And today, someone will come in. Someone knocked on the door, and he's really ripping into the back of my chair. Then he goes to bite me on my hand, and I went, "Oh no, what do you think you're doing?" And he goes right to the other side and bites me. Look, what the fucking little bastard's done. Hang on, how do you get it on? There you go. That's what he's done. And we keep them, we feed them and everything, and they're all nice and everything. And dear God Almighty, yeah, great guard dog, says John T.I. Great guard dog. He bites the owner. Yeah, he does bite the owner. That's me. And John, I know because John was the guy who I met the other day. Yeah. And he's. We're hoping to get him on. I think he's a little bit reluctant, but I tell you what, he's got a lot to say. He was here for 8.5 hours, and I don't think he even, he even fucking stopped for breath more than once or twice. So he's got, and it's a real story. And by the time that I'd finished, but with the story, I felt all drained. But there you go. So good evening to you, John. And hopefully we'll get you on soon. Dinny's in there as well. Dinny lives in the forest. Alice in Wonderland, and I noticed Webby's been in there as well.
No, it's Hansel and Gretel.
This one. And so, is it?
Yeah, in the forest. Yeah, with the gingerbread house and all that. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know like that. Fucking hell, I never had a childhood. But I'll tell you what I did watch last night. I watched They Live.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and you know, a line that I caught from it, and I thought, fucking hell, that is an awesome line. Life's a bitch, and now she's on heat.
Do you
Fucking
know
brilliant.
that actually held the record for the longest fist fight scene in a film? For it might even still hold the record, but it was something. It's about 10 minutes or something daft.
Yeah.
And I say it used to hold the record. I don't know if it still does, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I
And if
know,
you have,
and I'm thinking to myself, listen, this is fucking obviously you're both getting kicked in to
yeah,
death. Why don't you just put the fucking glasses on and then say, see, no, there's no to them. That were easy, weren't it?
yeah, but you wouldn't have had a
I
10-minute
suppose
fight scene in the film, would you? Really?
yeah, I mean, God, that fight scene, it's brutal. It's brutal. It reminds me some of the Family Guy fights when Peter fights a chicken, a great big chicken. Have you seen them? They usually last for ages and ages. They're probably not as long as that, but then again, that were a feature-length movie, weren't it? So,
Oh yeah, and if anybody listening hasn't seen They Live, there's probably They Live, The Matrix. Just trying to think if there's another one that's any more relevant. There probably isn't, is there?
well, if you look at things like Logan's Run,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Logan's Run's probably
Logan's Run, where people are brainwashed into thinking that 35 is when they die, and that's it. And they go into the chambers, don't they? And they rise up and they get zapped and everything.
yeah.
And then Logan finds out, hang on a minute, fucking hell, there's some outside here. We never knew about that before. And then, like, they're trying to catch him and everything, and they don't. And he finds an outside. I don't know if I can't remember how that ends. I must watch it again. Have you watched Logan's Run?
A few times, but a long time ago. A
Yeah,
long time
I
ago.
seem to remember there were a TV series as well that
Yeah, it
went
was. Yeah.
alongside it, which I were a bit of a fan of. Probably in '70s that would have been, wouldn't it? '70s, early '80s. It was probably repeated in 2015, but yeah, you know what it's like. They don't make out now.
No, they don't. Just complete change of subject. I heard something really funny on the so-called news the other yesterday. Was it day before? When Trump declares that on his orders, because of course he's in charge of the army, isn't he? He's the chief of the American army. That's his official role. That's what he is. And on his command, they've killed the baddest man in Persia or Iran or wherever it is, or
Iran, I think it is. Yeah.
yeah. And I just thought to myself, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. We're not being told the truth. But if anybody thinks that he made any decision to do anything, he hasn't made any decisions, has he?
Oh, of course he didn't. Listen, I don't know. I keep seeing things on social media like we're going into the Third World War. Believe me, the Third World War will not happen anywhere near here. This is too rich real estate, and so is the United States. It's too rich real estate for them to. So what's going to happen is they're going to keep having these proxy wars in the Middle East. So Iran. Then America bombs and kills somebody allegedly in Iran. This is what we're told anyway. This is the plot to the movie. And then Russia, who are allies with Iran, are going to get involved in some way. And it's just proxy wars. It's just a way.
And then you're going to end up with China going, no.
Well, China won't get involved as well. It's too much good real estate.
Yeah, of course.
And so they're just going to keep having these proxy wars, and the only reason for them is so that they can keep making and selling and buying and trading arms. You're going to need arms. What do you need for war? You need arms, don't you? You don't want to just go around someone's house with a fucking feather duster and say, right, I'm going to kick you out of this house and fucking kick your head in. But it's not just not what you can't do that. But it needs just to be perpetual war. Yeah. And we've got Webby with us.
Morning.
Hi guys, you all right?
Yeah, brilliant. How are
Morning. You? I'm not even sure what day it is still.
It's
things, boys?
is it what is it? Monday or Tuesday? Monday, isn't it?
Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday.
I think it is. Yeah.
Happy New
We're
Year
working all
anyway.
through. Yeah, all the best, boys. With working most of Christmas and New Year's, it's all been normal days, but I'm still lost on my days at the minute.
Mm-hmm. You had a good result yesterday, didn't you? Where's Webby?
Are you there?
What's going on there?
Oh,
we can hear you, Webby, but you've frozen. Oh.
No, are we there?
No, I don't think he is.
Perhaps need to disconnect Webby and we'll reattach him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear us, Webby. Whatever it is, it's something. Oh, there we go. Can we see you now? Are you there? Can you hear us? This is Ricky.
Don't know if you can hear me, guys. You're all locked up this end.
What? Sorry. Can you
No,
hear
Webby.
us?
No, he's gone.
Oh. Has he gone?
Yeah, I think he's gone.
Oh, this is great. This is how it used to be when you try and get somebody on and then it fucking all goes tits up. See, back in the good old days, would have said, Andy, sort it out. But not anymore. So we have to sort it out ourselves. I'm sure he'll be back with us.
What we need, Jason.
Yeah.
Come on, what's in the news? What we're going to talk about? What we're going to pull to bits?
Well, there's World War III. That's in news. I mean, we've still got trans things in news as well. They're all getting lots of publicity. But I watched a good film on YouTube actually, and it was I were a bit surprised. I were a bit whether I'm going to watch it because it were a YouTube original film, right? So it's been made by YouTube, and it was called The Boy Band Con, and the story of what's his name? Ron Perlman or something Perlman. He made NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and
was he the guy from is it Sweden, Norway?
I think no, you're American,
Scandinavian, or
no, American, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but he made Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and the guy were a complete and utter crook, according to this. I mean, I don't know. I've not looked into it. I think it's Ron Perlman, but yeah, he's that's a good something to watch. It's about 2 hours long, and it keeps you engrossed. It's got people from NSYNC and Backstreet Boys that were bands, and and they were saying they'd had like 3 albums or something like that, and they'd been told that they were going to go to this dinner and they were going to be paid some money, and they all got a check for $10,000. Can you imagine that? And they felt like rating knobheads.
Because they've had like all these #1 records and that, and they've got 10 grand.
And they're thinking to themselves they're going to get fucking millions, and then they get a check for $10,000. Yeah, just weird. A really good program. The Boy Band Con. Webby, are you back? Your mic's off, mate. No, his mic's off. I think he's trying to do some stuff. 59 Broadhurst and Richard Kinsit are in the chat room. Alice Georgeson as well. Johnny Jamshovel, good to see you, Johnny. Johnny Jamshovel is in there. Not seen him for a while. Sometimes don't quite get as late things, I think he's often had his Horlicks and he's snoring by the time it's when we start later on. So welcome. It's nice to see you watching live.
Did you watch the one that I sent you the link to? It's a bit old now, but
yeah.
I've seen it before. An inconsistent truth.
A convenient truth. Yeah, I've not watched it.
An inconsistent truth.
Right. Okay. I've not watched it. I did see it.
Yeah. It's a guy called Phil Valentine, and basically it's the global warming hoax crap thing is what it is. Webby, hello.
Not got a clue what happened there. You all froze and it just locked up. But I've plumbed my internet in now, so I'm not on Wi-Fi. That might improve it a lot.
Yeah,
So I heard your New Year was very eventful then, eh?
yeah, mine. I was in bed, mate. I just, I think, because I was working in nightclubs since I was like 16.
Yeah.
Once you get past 40, it's like, and then when you get to 50, it's like, I really can't be arsed with this shit anymore.
Well, I think you've also realised that all those resolutions that you planned on making all those years were a waste of time anyway.
Do you know, I never made any real resolutions, but I have actually started on an anti-fat bastard regime. So I'm not talking to fat bastards anymore.
Except me.
Yeah.
I've started eating like a proper fucking fat bastard. Honestly, last night we had the biggest fucking meal, and then when later on when she'd gone to bed and I'd had a joint, I'm then having to cook myself something to eat as well. Proper fat bastard at the moment, but we'll take that. Webby,
Webby, I sent Jason a link to a YouTube called An Inconsistent Truth.
Okay.
It's actually on here as 7th of December 2019, but I think it's been kicking around a lot longer than that. I think it was, it first came out, I reckon, a few years ago anyway, or something similar if it wasn't that, but I came across it again. And it's about the global warming and the hoax and everything.
Okay.
And one thing that stuck in my mind was, the guy who did the film asked people in the street, like a proper journalist, carbon dioxide, how much as either a parts per million or a percentage of our atmosphere consists of carbon dioxide. I would have probably guessed at, 20, 30, 40, so I don't know, percent, whatever. What would you, you might know it, but what would you guess at?
I wouldn't. I couldn't even guess at that, mate. I never even put any thought into it.
Jace?
About 70%.
Well, according to the scientist who did the Inconsistent Truth, 420 parts per million, which is equivalent to 0.039%. So I Googled it, and it's 0.040%.
Right, and that's how much carbon's in air at the moment.
That's how much carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere as we speak.
Well, if you just joined us, welcome along. It's Raconteurs News with myself. We've got guests Paul Webster and Johnny Ball's with us as well.
Johnny Ball, what the fuck?
Okay, Johnny Ball, you know Johnny Ball, oh yeah.
Yeah, Zoe's dad. No, he really is Zoe's dad, isn't he?
Yeah, but I can imagine him doing that. That's it. But how much do you think now? Now I've gone into Jimmy Savile. I think
you've been Savile.
No, then.
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, John. I don't think Johnny Ball would thank me for that impression of him, do you?
No. But that percentage or parts per million, doesn't that just show you how much of a bloody scam? Even that one thing, even if you know nothing else, you think, hang on a minute, not 0.039. So it's not even half of 1%.
No, well, of course not. But you see, you've got people, right? You've got people out there that are so egotistical that they think that they can save the world and that they can do this, and and that just gives them an opportunity to. If someone says, here's a danger to the world, and all them people that are so fucking narcissistic and think that they can do something, they're going to go and follow it and chase it, and then they're going to fucking try and make everyone else do what they do. It's a simple part of fucking just tribal nonsense. It'll be trendy to have, like in California, it was trendy to have a Prius. trendy. I mean, what's that? It's not going to save world. A Prius I think a Prius needs to do about 350,000 miles before it's offset its carbon footprint.
Don't we also have good carbon dioxide and bad carbon dioxide? Didn't somebody talk about that once? Is there a difference there, Ed?
Well, the way I understand it, and I'm not an expert at all, but the way I understand it from the bits of research that I've done and what I've watched, it's dead simple. They say oxygen is the gas of life, but it's carbon dioxide because the lungs of the earth are the plankton in the sea. Yep, because they're the same. They soak up all the carbon dioxide, and then kick out oxygen, exactly the same as plants that are not under the sea do. So we've got all these trees that are sucking in the carbon dioxide and blowing out oxygen, and then we suck in the oxygen and blow out the carbon dioxide. So without the carbon dioxide, the earth would be, well, effectively dead.
You see those...
Because there's more things living on the carbon dioxide than there is live on oxygen.
You see, like in the polytunnels where they've added extra CO2 and the plants and everything are, the crops are much bigger, and there's got to be something in that. But the scam that is going on behind this climate change, I mean, I believe even Meatloaf's got in on it now. Meatloaf's getting attacked. Because he said Greta Thunberg doesn't really know what she's talking about.
Fantastic. But, they need calling out because it's a pile of shit.
Well, you see, this is what I was thinking. We've got these fucking fires in Australia, right? It's supposed to be hell on earth. I don't know. It most likely is hell on earth in a lot of these places. No. But we've got all this, and we're told it's due to climate change. That's the one. It's due to climate change. Now, what I thought was Thailand's not that far away from Australia. Now we know Thailand because we've got it in writing that we know that they can produce rain. They were in Australia were saying they were praying for rain. So why didn't they go set? Oh, we've got hang on a minute. We're Thailand over here. We've got some rain. We can make some rain for you over there. Why did that not happen? Why is it? Do they want it to be as bad as it possibly can be, so that then the impact when they trick everybody into saying it's climate change, is that what it's all about? Are they just trying to pull a fast one?
It's like we have bushfire seasons. We've got flu seasons. Is there any connection between these seasonal things that we always get and things that we as human beings are doing?
Well, I heard was it last week or the week before? I think it was just before Christmas, and I heard Max Egan, and he was on. I think it was Anacast. It was on, but I might be wrong. But within the past 2 weeks, Max was on and it's probably up on his website on the Crow House. And he talked actually really quickly. I think he'd not got a lot of time, but a lot of information to get in. And what he was basically saying was that they've tested the chemtrails. They've tested the land after the chemtrails. And basically what they've been spraying with the chemtrails is effectively the same ingredients what they make children's sparklers out of that they have on Guy Fawkes Night. Magnesium, barium, aluminium, a few other bits and bobs. That's what they've been spraying out the planes onto the land. So when the natural seasonal fires come along, they're not just burning, they are absolutely burning a lot hotter, a lot longer, a lot bigger than they do normally. But not only that, once the fire's burnt through, normally what happens is that nature takes over, because there are some seeds and some pods from certain plants that actually need the fire to break open for the next generation of scrubland, bush, forest, whatever, and it's all part of the natural process. But what Max said was, the minute the fires are burnt through, the state are there with bulldozers, with just about anything that's left, and they're hacking it all down, putting it in a big pile, and setting fire to it again to make sure that it really fucking has gone. They're absolutely just clearing the land. And then he says, so they're spraying the land. Then when it takes hold naturally, it's burning a lot bigger. Obviously, then they can't put it out because the fire is just too huge. When it has burnt through, they're completely clearing the land, and then they're blaming it on bloody climate change. Just a load of bollocks.
That's what happens, though, isn't it? It's what happens. It's fucking horrible. It is horrible. Yeah, Denny says he feels sorry for the animals in Australia, and I do as well. I think there's perhaps a billion animals that have been affected by this.
Has anybody thought about the Agenda 21 map and the high-speed train routes? Do you think there's any bearing on any of the plans that have been made 2 years previously to maybe exasperate, maybe make these fires worse? I mean, you keep seeing things that kids have been caught setting fires on purpose. There's that much information that comes out to try and pick all the truth out of everything. I mean, I'm seeing social media kick off now over this stuff. You were just touching on it before about World War III. And you were saying about it's not going to happen in these countries because of all the, what's at stake. What gets me is that there's still people who are fact, they know for a fact what is going on, who's playing this game and who's playing that game. There's people who are all for Trump and Trump's it. Everything is all coming together all at once, and for somebody to say, I know everything that's happening as fact. I mean, I can't say that. You two lads, you by your own admittance say that you don't keep up to date. You don't look at the news on purpose for a lot of the stuff. But I get information from everywhere through my news feed, and everybody's talking about everything. How can you just pick out one source again? Because the most information I can put me hand on fully is how little that I do know. I've got all this information, but to say, yeah, that's the facts, that's true, because you've got it from a certain source or a couple of other sources. Yeah, I'm taking all these sources in, and I can't differentiate. Some look good, some look bad. So, and it's all he said, it, she said. It's theatre. Everybody's buying into something. And I feel like as more people are buying into this, I feel like I'm backing away and looking at this picture and going, well, you're all arguing over that. You're all arguing over that. And that's going on while you're arguing over. You know what I mean? It's an absolute mess.
Do you know, Webber, the only thing that I think I ever know for definite is that what they're telling me in that big square box in the corner is a pile of shite. But what the actual...
Not if you're watching Raconteurs news, it fucking...
Well, yeah.
By the way, we were talking about how we don't watch we don't watch TV. Well, I don't watch the BBC, particularly BBC News, in case Laura Kunnersberg's on there and I end up getting charged with having an anti-Semitic wank. So, I don't want that coming down on me, because that's what's going to be next. And you're tossed off over a Jew, and that's it. That's anti-Semitic, and it's where it's coming from, where it's going to. Sorry, isn't it?
That probably is a real thing. That
it probably is. I'll probably get arrested tomorrow. Webby, but while we've got you, I'm wary of my fucking internet copying off and. Your internet copying off, and we can get into all this other stuff like afterwards. But I want you to let us know what you've been doing. You've been doing some meetings, haven't you? Is it weekly or monthly? Or tell us more about them.
It's every 2 weeks. We intend to meet now, because we never used to. It was never an advertised meeting. It was only a very small group of us, and we were all working on cases that were all personal to us. So we didn't really bring anybody in while we were working on them. Now things are all in place. Things are set up to go. We can leave them on the back burner, but trying to get people to just come along and listen to new information that they would never have heard before. Come and listen, come and learn about, I mean, dare I say, bills of exchange do get mentioned, but the fact is what we're trying to do is get local people not to just go out and stop doing this and stop doing that. I'm not going to pay my bills. It's ridiculous. But there are people who can get themselves into wonderful positions without getting themselves into trouble or waiting till they're in trouble and then coming along and saying, this is what I've done. Because when somebody goes off, and I've done it myself, I've been doing this stuff for 12 years, I've given my entire case away in a bundle and they've laughed at me. And that's what people do when they're trying to learn this stuff. We've got a good angle on a lot of stuff, and the group collectively have got a lot of information. We've got health and safety experts, we've got legal experts, we've got information that we can get hold of even if the people can't get to the meetings. But we started to put it out now because I've started to have a little bit of interest in people wanting to take this stuff forward. And in regard to bills and stuff like that, if they can grasp the concept of how this stuff works, before getting themselves into trouble, they can build a case up and put an injunction in place. And then with an injunction, you can either force obligations to be done or you can stop things being done. That's what an injunction's for. So if you bring an injunction against a utility company that are not fulfilling their obligations under the bills of exchange for non-commercial agreements, then that's your plan of attack. So people don't have to necessarily stop paying bills. Come and learn about a debt-based economy, negative interest economy. Listen to how much worth you have in it.
How many meets you had?
How many what?
How many meets have you had so far?
This meeting has progressed from. This meeting has been going on in various forms, and it's been opened and shut down. You know, it's only me and a few others that have kept meeting, and we never advertised it because it used to get advertised on Freedom Northwest when Rob B used to run it, and it's all changed venues. Everybody's lost touch with each other, so it's only just been advertised, say, maybe about 3 times before Christmas, and it's only every 2 weeks. We had to cancel last week to some unforeseen circumstances coming up, but the next one's scheduled for this Thursday. That's going to be at 8 o'clock at the Presidential Bar in Ashton in Makerfield near Wigan. And all I can say is if you're close by and you've got questions, come and, you know, we don't do presentations as yet because, you know, there's a lot of the people there. We all talk and there's nothing to present. So as the meetings build up, we've got people there ready to go with presentations. But, you know, this has got to start again organically from the beginning because it's gone so much of a mess with people in the past trying to bring stuff forward. I mean, they've had some great guests on there. Michael Bernasir did a presentation about 6 years ago over in Ashton. I think I was on the same venue. I think I did a presentation the same day or a couple of weeks after. But that's all fizzled out because it relies on, you've seen it yourself, Jason, it relies on maybe a handful of people to keep that kind of stuff going because people don't naturally come together and do things. And it's like with on Raconteurs News, you had Johnny Jamshovel come in and start doing bits for you. It's people like that keep things ticking over in the background. And the meetings in Ashton just didn't have that when Rob B had to go away to work away. There was nobody who kept it going. And then we were all on with our own court cases. You've got work as well. So you're trying to fit everything in, Jason, you know yourself, it gets a bit too much. So we've started it all again. And with Raconteurs, with the Webster report and all that, it's started to get a bit of traction. I've had some people from a South Wales group contact me saying that they're getting a collection together to come up, a few of them. So What I'm trying to do is get groups to talk together rather than individuals just come my meetings or our meetings, come to the meetings, exchange information, and we'll come to your meetings, trying to do the old networking like what you were talking about with just instead of social media forums, but trying to bring some physicality to it. It's brilliant doing it behind a keyboard, but to look face to face to somebody, it's a different experience.
And it used to happen a lot, didn't it? I mean, when we remember back to the days when Tom Crawford's case was high on the agenda, there were a lot more of that thing. Me and A did something similar back in 2013. So it's almost as if you've come further along, and now you're looking back and thinking perhaps that was the right way to go in the first place, or do we need to go back and start again? And in order to be able to get the momentum that we'd got, because the momentum that I feel, the momentum from live events when people went to them, you felt energy, and I think that when we lost that. And we did lose it because there were people, even the true people in Leeds. I went up to one in Leeds. I went to one at Pudsey. I went to one in Huddersfield. I've been to all this, and it's so much better than behind a keyboard. You can learn far better, and it was the way that we used to do it. So it's like, in order to go forward, we need to go backwards and reignite that particular flame.
Yeah, I agree. I did when you were on about Leeds there. I did Real Change Leeds when Russ Burton had set that one up there.
That's where I saw you.
And the energy that was in that place, that was quite early doors, and there was a lot of people considering what you were trying to get up and running in those days. But I feel a lot of the shit, you had a lot of trolls that were turning up, and that messed with a lot of people, because people wanted to come to those meetings and learn stuff, and you had people who would turn up at those meetings, and those people had all the answers, and it was their way. And we've seen since that some of those people who have all the answers, who are experts, seem to have caused a lot of issues and a lot of trouble for people that they so-called were going to help. And that people have took their information, put it with other information. They've tried to do things in court, and when they fail, they create barriers for everybody else who's behind them. And before you can get to your destination, you've got to revisit it and go through all those barriers. That's why the council tax case that we're working on, we had to go right back to the beginning. In 2015, this was in High Court. And because of a decision made on that day where an offer was accepted, that stopped the case. You can't carry it on from there, and you have to start again. The trouble is, the people you're up against learn what you're doing and learn more about how the law works against them whilst you're doing that. So you give a lot away when you put them into these corners. And if you don't finish them off like it didn't get finished in 2015 because there was an offer put on the table and that offer was accepted, that council tax person now only pays £12 a year. They pay £1 a month, and that was because that was enough to stop the case, and we had to start it again. And before we can even start challenging the council tax being on, challenge it for not paying it because we're not liable, we have to repeal the case law, and therefore we've got to get to Supreme Court. High Court can't deal with it. We've got to go to Supreme. We can prove the case law is false, that people have been sent to jail under, and everybody can prove that the liability orders aren't real. So once that case law is repealed, then it's open season. You've got from 1992 to now, you've got all those years of £1,000 a year average people have paid on property that aren't liable for council tax. Somebody's got to, for want of a better way, somebody's got to pay for those discrepancies, shall we say, because it's they're either complicit or they're absolutely incompetent, whichever it is, they're liable.
Absolutely, yeah, they are, and I think it's complicit more than than anything else. I think everybody just sees the system and sees their part in the system, and then they know that I know I'm sounding like Airy Cookie Monster here when talking about system and everything, but they see their part in the system, and they see that if they take their part out and somebody else takes their part out and someone else takes their part out, the whole system's going to crash down, and they're going to be left without a job or anything. But there'll be a better world, but I won't have a job. Oh my God, let's not save the world. Yeah, so
that's what it comes down to. It's it's the devil in the detail, isn't it? Lucifer's a professor at law, and it's all about money. Put those two together.
Yep. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody today about TV license, and I just said, what you've got to remember is, while ever you're doing anything like this, nobody's going to send you a badge. Nobody's going to give you a certificate. There's no gold medals. Nobody's going to write to you and say, oh, do you know, you were ever so right. You don't really have to pay that. All that happens is people stop annoying you. One of the Leeds crowd a long time ago said to me, everything that gives you hassle, you asked for. I don't know, what do you mean? Did you fill in the form that said occupier? Yeah. So you asked to be on the electoral register then. Did you ask for a driving license? Yeah. Well, don't complain about speeding tickets then. Did you fill the form in when it said to the occupier about water? Yeah. And electricity? Yeah. And gas? Yeah. We asked for it all.
And then we go and attend the military civil courts.
Yeah,
in commerce, we do. This is what I've been banging on about for years. We have to accept the responsibility that every man and woman has. We can't keep blaming Boris Johnson, Jeremy Corbyn.
Yeah.
All these people agree. Jeremy Corbyn's party and Boris Johnson's party agree fundamentally on everything. That mainly what they want. But what we argue about is what they put out into the forums. Yep. But we've got to take responsibility for the ignorance that has been passed down from generation to generation. My mum told me, work hard, pay your bills. My mum told me, banks lend money. Two fundamental things that fuck your life up. Time to grow up. Time to fucking grow up.
Banks don't lend money, of course, as we know. The stuff that we think is real even isn't real. So how can they lend it when it doesn't even exist? And when you say about, all the politicians fundamentally agree, you're absolutely right. But not only that, it's not that they agree, it's that they're told to agree, because they're not in charge of anything. All they are. Mark Shieldestroyer would say that they just get their lines every morning. What would Ike say? Ike would say, what would he pontificate? They're just... puppets. Just control puppets when you get to that low level. All sorts of, and it doesn't matter whose way of putting it over. There's one thing bloody for sure. Politicians don't decide or influence anything. No. And do you know, my son, he hears me going on about stuff, but, Danny's more interested in everyday life. And I remember being with him about a week before this election, and somebody else said to him, not me, what are you going to do in the election? And he went, what do you mean? So I'm not going to vote. And they said, well, why not? And I expected him to come out with, I can't be arsed with, or, well, my dad says, well, and he didn't. All he said was, if voting made a difference, they wouldn't let us do it. And I thought, it doesn't matter how much stuff I come up with. Them half a dozen words are a lot easier to understand and a lot easier and mean a lot more. And he's dead right. If it did make a difference, of course they wouldn't let us do it.
It's all the illusion of us having choice and being able to have a say in something. People attack people because they choose to abstain from voting because you're going to get killed. One's going to stab you to death. One's going to shoot you to death. Which one do you want to vote for? I don't feel that my vote should be used for something like that. I feel I can fight it better on my own terms than jumping in with a load of sheep and saying, let's turn this oil tanker very slowly. Because as you're turning this oil tanker very slowly, there's a lot of shit happening at the back. And you're looking at the front saying, look how well we're doing, look how well we're doing. You haven't got a clue what's going on, because these people have got think tanks everywhere thinking about things and about how they're going to predict what people are going to vote for, how we're going to influence people. There's an absolute mess. There's an absolute chaos going out into the world right now. And you can see the highest of the factions are now fighting to establish control of that chaos so they can offer their remedy. The factor is we need to wake up as individual men and women to our own plights instead of thinking that we should be part of this collective. There's no point being a sheep and being part of this collective. You've got to be able to critically think. And I for myself, I keep finding information that just keeps giving me questions. You know, there's definitive things that are in all the information. There's defining things that is coming out from every faction, from Russia, from China, from North Korea. All this stuff all comes out and it's all going into the same melting pot. If you can't look in this melting pot, stir it around without picking something out and going, yep, I'm having that, that's true. Because if you put that down as true and then you make a belief around that, how are you ever going to accept new information? You know, there's new. My mind has been changed so many times, and even gone back, been reverted back because it's taken me down a path that I've gone, hey, it could be right, this, and then I've gone, no, that's not it. I need to start again. And you go back, and that's all those little rabbit trails. You've got to go down them, but don't go down them and stay there. You know, it's like if you want to just bang on about and tell me about the Earth being flat, and that's the only thing that means anything to you, then I think you're limiting what this reality, the information in this reality has. You can't limit yourself.
No.
Well, just as you were just mentioning that, we were talking about perhaps not flat Earth, but there were just something that just hit me head. And when we were talking about Iran and Iraq, now I wanted to mention that Iraq has their parliament has voted to expel all the Allied troops. We call them Allied, the invading troops, right? So expel them all. So, and I thought to myself, that's a little bit like me. When a bailiff comes into my house, it's a little bit like me saying, well, me and my wheelchair have voted that you are to leave. You know, they're not going to go. It's just like, it's theatre. They'll leave it. It'll become a fucking, the Al-Qaeda will be in there, and it'll just become a fucking total no-go zone in world. Completely. Iraq. They're after Iran. They're really after Iran. And this will be the second time that they've done this in Iran.
Well, if we look at it, sorry, Jason.
No, go on. You carry on.
If you look at it like this, 1953, the CIA bragged.
Whoa, we've got echoes.
The CIA bragged that they made regime change, didn't they, in Iran? That's 1953. You've got factions now. If you just go back to what's going on with the Greater Israel Project, I remember, is it General Wesley Clark that got notified that they were going to try and take out 7 countries in 5 years. It's taken them a little bit longer, but Bush, then Obama, then Trump has all been, at least those plans were put back in then, and that's all carried on. Now, the factor is Trump has been a different, you know, I shudder to use the term breath of fresh air, but it's something completely different, something wild. And I think that's why he's grabbed a lot of people, because, you know, he's not, you know, people are looking at it that Americans were killed, and rather than play about with politics and everything, he's gone in and took the ones out that they believe has killed Americans, and that he's not going to have that. Is that all part of the biggish plan, or of the bigger picture? Is it Trump? Is he this crusader that's here to save the world?
No.
People are buying into that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I certainly can't go, my money's on that horse. Not from this, not in this position right now. All I can see is, wow, there's rumors of wars. There is wars. Everything is going on right now. It's for me. A lot of people look at this stuff and they get all scared and they get worried. For me, I can't see enough of this stuff, because if the state of the world now is not enough to make you wake up and think there's something not right in this world, and voting isn't going to fix it, or going out and fighting isn't going to fix it, what other alternatives are there? Look around, see what bits that you can do, because if you can't change your life in some way, what makes you think being part of a group is going to change anything? Because massive people being part of large groups have hardly ever changed anything. Little groups have, individuals have, but you've got factions now who've had control of this reality forever, you know, and God knows where our history is. Every day I read new bits of history that puts our timeline in different places. It's ridiculous now to think that everything that I was taught at school was given to me as fact, because everything that I was taught can't be factual. It just can't be for anybody who's got that much ability to think. You know, you don't have to have a massive IQ. It's not about that. It's about being able to think.
I remember one teacher teaching me about basically the Bible, and how it was an immaculate conception in a manger near Christmas. And then in the next lesson, they were teaching me that actually we'd all come from monkeys, but there was a missing link, and this Australopithecus or whatever it was. And then Want It Wonderful, because they found this body that's it's the missing link. And then you go, hang on a minute, no, that one's been called a fraud because somebody actually didn't dig it up, they just made it. And then in the next lesson, they're telling me that such and such a piece of land is so many billion years old. And I just think, I've got 3 fucking teachers here who can't even agree, and yet they all sup a cup of coffee together in staff room. So, you know, it's bollocks.
Well, I don't know who this came from or where this came from, but it said, it's a quote, and it says, those with faith need no proof. Those without faith, no amount of proof is enough. And then science fills the middle bit.
Science.
That's true. And science is the new religion, isn't it? Science has become that religion where everything. If religion comes down to faith, that is science. Because I've got to have faith in a bloke that said this mathematical equation proves that something happened to nothing, and here we are. I have to have faith in that. Yet I'd be called names to say there's one creator God that created all this. It's faith, whichever way you want to look at it. I've seen what man can do. I can't put faith in man.
No.
But you don't need to, though, do you? You don't need to. You need to have faith in yourself. That's the whole point of it. If you've got faith in yourself, you ain't got no faith in yourself, then you're just going to think that you can't do anything. You can't. If you believe in your head, you think to yourself, perhaps I can do this, I can do this, I can do that, I can do other. And then you have this other part of your head, and it says, no, you can't do that, for fuck's sake, you fat fuck. How are you going to fucking do it? And you know what I mean? It's like your one-legged fucking dick. You've always got the two parts of your brain, and you've got to make sure that the one with the faith, even though sometimes it's misplaced faith, sometimes people do misplace faith in people and in and in situations and things, and you've got to take them on chin. That's what's going to happen. Because
I had a good one the other day. It might even have been on a TV drama. Inside us all, there are two tigers. One tiger is full of jealousy, hate, mistrust. And the other tiger is full of love, care, and all the rest of it. And the kid says, which one wins? And the adult says, the one that you feed.
Well, I would have said the one that's got the warrant to get the other one kicked out.
Yeah.
Hang on, where's he got this liability order from? And what?
Yeah.
Has it got a proper stamp on it and everything?
Has it got a wet signature, this warrant?
But it might have been a printed signature rather than a wet signature.
So it's commercial then. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Definitely commercial. Yeah. If you have just joined us, welcome along. You are listening to the first Raconteurs news of 2020. It's the year of vision. It's the year that everybody opens their eyes and sees what's really going on. 2020 vision, that's what it's all about. And we are trying to be at the epicenter of that. We are going to make a new world with these scissors and nothing else. No other weapons or anything.
I'm amazed that they've actually let you loose with a sharp implement.
They're not that sharp. They're like them, you get in junior school, them plastic ones.
Oh, are they?
Like a serrated edge on them. They're a little bit like that. Hello to everyone who's in the chat room. Loads and loads of people in the chat room. Dennis in the Galaxian. Hello to you. Cheris, Rosin, Alicat George, Ron Malcolm as well. What was that that me and you spoke about that we in the private chat, Webby?
Yeah, I was just trying to look for it now because there's the guy. It's 59. Hang on a minute. Broadest 59 or 59 Broadest posted it, and it was about Mark Steele. Apparently, he's crashed and burned on a show, but I can't find what show it was now. So,
what again?
I've no idea. But if you're still listening,
Sarah Westall show apparently. Sarah Westall show.
I don't know what that show is.
I don't know either, but Steelers finally lost it on that. So well done to you, Sarah Westall. Anybody know about that in the chat room? Just let us know. And I'm definitely know what I'm going to be listening to a little bit later on. Especially if it's crashed and burned. God, what a fucking piece of shit that is. And I don't do that.
Hang on a minute. It's that big they put it into two parts on YouTube.
Awesome. So we'll definitely be looking at that a little bit later on, won't we? Definitely.
I'll tell you what, I'm friends with Sarah as well. I'm shocked I've not seen that come up. Have you? Did you say you found it on YouTube there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I just put in Sarah Westall, and it came up.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what he's doing. I've not heard much from his smack rap.
I've not heard anything from anybody, and that's. I think they just took it away from my feed on Facebook just because I just didn't. I think last time I saw it, it was like him. Run your fucking nosebleeds, fucking getting out of your nose. You've got too much blood in your nose because of the 5G, so it comes up. That's pretty much last time I saw a Garrett is Smack Rat. So
yeah, I think he's on. Is there? I think there's a show called Wake Up or a Wake Up channel or something like that. I think he does a Lee Garrett show at some point on that.
Oh, does he? We'll have to have a listen.
Yeah, I'm sure it's called Wake Up TV or something like that. And there's a few people there's some good shows on there actually. But I've never listened to Smack Rat's show. Don't have much time for people like him.
No, me neither, but I'd be interesting to listen to. What about Ricky Gervais? Did you see what he did?
Did you?
Sorry, what was that one? What have I missed with Ricky Gervais?
He were at the Golden Globes, and you've got to listen to it. When he were opening his thing out, he's saying all sorts of stuff, making all sorts of references that many people in this country wouldn't understand. But he did say what Harvey Weinstein didn't kill himself, didn't he?
Jeffrey Epstein, not
Jeffrey Weinstein. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and he also made a dig at Prince Andrew. And then he says to him, he said, when you come up here and receive your prizes, he says, thank your agents, thank your gods, don't end no political messages, because you are not in a position at all to preach to anybody or about anything, because you don't live in the real world. It was brilliant. Absolutely.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. It was
when he said like Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself, and they all went, oh, like that. He went, hey, come on now. He says, I know you're friends with him. He says, but you all came on your own planes tonight, didn't you?
Fucking brilliant. Yeah, full speech is on Alicat George. It's on her wall on Facebook, Alice Georgeson. So you'll be able to see it on there if you've not seen it yet. You want to see it. It's absolutely brilliant. I don't know how he got away with it. It's probably like Dinny says, because Dinny's like the fucking most skeptical man in the entire world. He seems to think that he were paid to say that, and I don't know, but I just like to think that he's genuine with what he said. And
gentlemen, I'm going to leave you because I'm yawning my head off, and I've got to be in Wakefield in 7 hours.
Okay, mate.
So I'm going to shoot.
All right, brother.
Good to see everybody. Thank you.
Take it easy, Ed.
See you later.
Ta-ra, dude. Me and thee, Webby, then. It's like the old days, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is. So where do you want to go now, then?
Well, I want you to tell people about Webster Report. I mean, who have you had on? I know you've had. I know you've not done very many, but I know you've had some people on, and I think they were.
I think Caroline Stevens was the last one.
Yeah. So Reg done a thing with her as well.
Who?
Ben Emlyn Jones had done an interview with her as well. Yeah.
Well, Caroline, she wants to get on everybody's platform. You know, she's, in my experience from her, she wants to know. You know, she's interested in the information and stuff like that. I've not had that many dealings with her, but the dealings I've had with her, she's always been good with me, and you know, integrity, shall we say, where there's some people that you have dealings with. You've been doing this caper longer than I have. You meet some right bellends, and you know they don't want to hear what you've got to say. Even if you're a guest on their show, it's not, you've had them before where they don't want to hear what you know. If you're a guest, they're not interested in what you've got to say. What's the point in being on there? Where Caroline, she's certainly getting information out there, and I jumped on her platform because she's got people who wouldn't have heard the information that I've got. Now, it's like I was saying about the meetings, Jason, the likes of Caroline, the likes of yourself, the likes of Ben, all these people are coming into each other's groups and circles now, and we're all bringing new information. You know, some people have got all their information, then all of a sudden somebody will put some new information, and it changes the whole concept of things. That's how you start to get ideas fired up. So I have every intention to do it on a more regular basis. It's just with work and bits and bats what I've got going on. It's difficult. That's why I go live now as and when. I've had David Noakes on. I had a guy called David Edelman. David's an ex-school teacher, fluent in 7 languages. He's wrote a book called School, Not a Place for Children, which when you read the book and read about what the education system's designed to do, then there's a really good concept. So it was a really interesting conversation. And I love those type of conversations. You know me, Jason, I'm not interested really in this, hi, this is you, and tell me all about you, and you. I'd like people now to come on with conversations, and we'll talk about everything and anything. I don't care. It's just, let's get a conversation going. If you were talking about the anti-Semitic stuff. I mean, there was a footballer. Did you see what Tony Pope tweeted? Tony Pope, he's a striker for Port Vale.
Port Vale, yeah.
Yeah, well, he tweeted that he tweeted all these nations, Libya, North Korea, blah blah blah. Let's take all these nations out. Rothschilds win the title. That's been deemed as anti-Semitic.
Well, it is.
It is because the Jewish. Why? Is it a fact that the only countries that we're at war with don't have the Rothschild banking system? Well, give me control of a nation's money supply. I don't care who makes its laws. Actually shows you that how close they are to this global network of countries that are allegedly fighting each other. What is going on? People have got to ask these questions because there isn't. I don't think there's anything black and white in this. There isn't them and us. There's a mixture of it all, and underneath all that, there's a bubbling of people who are really searching for the truth. But you can't just grab onto one thing. You've got to take everything with you. There's some people in circles that I know who refuse to talk and look at anything negative because it'll lower the vibration. That to me is ridiculous. That's like walking into a room where you think there may be danger, but if you don't believe there's nothing in there that can hurt you, then you might as well just go in and not even bother thinking about it. There's for me, keep my friends close and my enemies closer. I need to see everything. Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah, I do. I understand, but like we're in this situation. We had this fucking election. Now, let's face it. If Corbyn had said, right, we're going to be out of the EU, no deal, he would have fucking walked it, right? Yeah,
I'd say that's more than possible, that mate.
He would have walked it, absolutely walked it. What he did is he threw away the momentum. The momentum then went back to the status quo. It's gone to Johnson, and
it was the simplicity, though, wasn't it? It was that
it was
simplicity.
so easy to do. Yeah,
we will leave the EU. 17 million people said we want to leave. He said we'll leave, and everybody changed. My local town, a mining town, hates Tories, but they voted Tory this time. My granddad will be spinning because he was in a mine, and my dad was down the pit as well. This is they're desperate. They're looking for that change because everybody knows that voting is the definition of insanity. Expecting a different outcome, doing the same thing, it's mentally draining. And somebody's come along and said, "We'll do what you want." The other thing with Trump is he's come along and said, "No, we're not doing any of that rubbish that's all been getting done before. I'm doing it this way. God is coming back into this." Which God will find out eventually. I've got to ask these questions though. I can't just buy into it, but I'll tell you, it's every single day now, Jason. Something is happening on a colossal scale. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch.
It is amazing to watch. Yeah, it's just. I just don't even fucking know. I put fucking news on and something stupid will come up like, a transgender pupil at a school was misgendered by a teacher, and now let's have a conversation between two talking heads, and you can see that these talking heads that are on particularly on Sky News, they have these young lasses, like, you know, caked in makeup, but their hair's done back and their glasses are on, so they look like they're intelligent. And they're having these inane conversations about stuff that don't matter a fucking jot. What does it matter? It don't matter.
I posted an article yesterday where a girl from the age of 5 knew that she wanted to be a boy. So she transitioned to a boy, but then she also realised that since the age of 5, she wanted to be a dragon. And she spent £42,000 on surgery to make her look like a dragon.
I saw that.
Is that the facilitation of mental health issues? Because I'm struggling. You know, I know people whose kids wanted to be an Autobot this morning and a dinosaur yesterday. Do we start letting kids do what they want? You know, well, I fancy being a dog, and can I have some pills to grow more fur? Can I have me ears? Where do we stop this?
Why don't we do this, right? Why don't we do this, right? Okay, this women transitioning into men and men transitioning to women, we're fucking stuck with that, right? So the technology for it to happen is here, right? So let's go a little bit further down the line. So if she identifies as a dragon and has done all this stuff to become a dragon, then she should be told, well, dragons don't have any rights in this country, so you've got no benefits. You haven't got a national.
Then you're discriminating against dragons, then, Jason.
But there's no law to say that I can't discriminate against dragons.
There's no law to say that you can be offended. You can't. You haven't got the right in law to be offended. So the fact none of this makes any sense. It's absolute bollocks. All of it. You know, from I don't know. If I'd have turned to my dad at the age of 8 and said I want to be a woman, right? My dad, I'm not saying he would have handled it very well. He'd have probably took the piss out of me horrendously because that was the age in those days. But I'm pretty damn certain that they wouldn't have facilitated me having pills to block my hormones, to have surgery, until I got to an age of where they had no say in what I did. And then they would hope that I'd got to some kind of sense, or that was it. I really was wanting to be a woman, and that was my path. But now you've got people who are promoting themselves, facilitating hormone blockers on children for as young as 3 to 5 who have said they may be a girl. They're going into schools, and schools are saying, look, there's no such thing as male and female. You can be what you want. Have a look at this chart. Answer some of these questions. What's your favourite colour? Oh, I know, Dave, but you might want to be a girl just because you picked this. Kids are going home and going, I don't know what's going on. You are fucking with children's minds. And for me, if people can't see that as child abuse, then I don't know where you are in this society, because to me that's child abuse. The kid needs to be, I mean, they say 25 is when your mind is fully matured. My mind wasn't fully matured till I was in my late 30s.
I don't think mine's fully matured yet.
I made some horrendous decisions, a lot of it alcohol based, but some horrendous decisions. And I get here now and I look back and I'm like, what did I do that for? You know, and then you turn to your kids and you try and tell them the same thing, and you get the rolling of the eyes, you know, because you've been there, done it, and you try and tell your kids, don't do this, don't do that. And they're getting told, because what society is, that you can do what you want, be whatever you want, just come from love. Well, you know, Satanism does all that. Do what you want, but come from love. Let's love everybody, but do what you want. Wow, that's great. How long has it taken us to get to fully on promoting Satanism?
love everybody. I mean, Aidy's not here, but you know, he'd probably say
love a
that.
long time.
I know what you mean. It's just it's like we've become a parody of ourselves. We've become a cartoon of ourselves. So you see these stupid cartoons. Like have you seen the video that says what's his name? Matt Groening's a time traveller. Have you seen that one?
I've not seen the video, but I've heard the
all
concept.
the things. Oh, he lists all the things that he put in his, and it's like that. We're overtaking that now. We're overtaking the parody, and you know we've gone far beyond it, and it's just. But it's a good video. I'd recommend anyone watch it. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is predictive because, like I said, even the things that, if you take away the time traveling, the fact that they have the think tanks, the fact that they know how socially, as a herd species, we think, and if they get the majority of us going in a certain direction, they can control the minorities. Now, the minorities, like in the working class, might have been on the rise here, but now diversity comes in and political correctness within the last 30 years, and you see how much that's ramped up over the last 10 to 15 years. You've got people patrolling each other. You know, I've posted an article the other day that the French create a traffic jam the length of England because they're talking about, apart from other taxes and stuff, but they're talking about the retirement age being raised to 64. Our retirement age is being touted up, going up to 72. While they're going on general strike and taking over toll roads and letting all the motorists through for nothing and doing all this, we're fighting in Aldi with each other over Kevin the Carrot.
He's a good character.
Well, I've seen him on an advert once, but it mesmerises me that people will go out and fight each other over a stuffed toy from an advertisement, yet telling them that the gas is free and they're not liable for gas, water, electric, or council tax. I'm a cunt.
But what you know, you talk about immigration in different countries and what's happening in France. The general strike, you know, they're letting people on buses for free, aren't they? They're still running buses, aren't they? Some of them, but they're letting people on for free. The toll roads, they're not taking the tolls. We're not told any of that, and because we have been the place where every migrant's ever wanted to fucking get to, that's ever left somewhere in the Middle East that we're bombed fuck out of, right? Then we've not got that. We've got that dilution of people who are you know, that English thing that we used to do, you know, like fuck you Hitler and fucking we're having street parties when they win and all this sort of stuff. And it's gone. It's been fucking completely dissolved. It's been destroyed, and we're poorer for it.
No, they've looked to make a welfare state out of the entirety of Europe. Because if you bring a load of people in that are reliant on you and you're giving them all this free stuff, they're going to vote for you. And the more of those people that you get in, the better it is. Now, that is why I've seen a massive change in policing and in councils where local residents of generations, are now not believed over the fact that an ethnicity has come in and been part of problems. Now, rather than look at the issues and say, it's this, it's that, it's straight away, it's the local residents. We've been told there's no go areas because of local residents. But the factor is, there was no prostitution and drugs when the local residents were just local residents. Now, am I racist for saying that? Because it's factual. Just like the footballer is anti-Semitic because he said once the banks have got all the countries in the banking system, they've won. That's anti-Semitic.
Tell me who you were again.
Is it Tim Pope?
Right.
He's a striker for Port Vale. He said it
Yeah,
after he
Paul
got
Bell,
beat
yeah,
by
because
City.
he scored, didn't he? Because he scored against Man City, and
He did.
he think he'd tweeted something about John Stones before, saying that if he was playing against John Stones every week, he'd get 40 a season. A couple of, during World Cup, I think, or something during one of competitions or an England game, and then he gets to score. He scores, doesn't he, at Man City against John Stones. So there you go. I told you. So yeah, they're not going to like him.
But it's what does it come down to when you can't talk, when you can't say
express
these things?
yourself.
Exactly. The factor is, people. It's not people who know me, because people who actually know me and talk to me, they realise that they're on very dodgy ground for an argument. So the worst thing that they feel they can throw at me, if it's not chemtrails that they want to throw at me, it's flat Earth. And the factor is, I don't say whether the Earth is flat or it's a spinning ball. I've got fucking massive questions about both, but I can't have those questions because I'm an idiot. Because I'm asking those questions, yet they're very childlike questions. And I've asked people with letters after their names of like a childlike question that they can't come up with. Only the best theory, the best guess. Well, that's not giving me a factual answer, so I should still keep asking questions. Because when a theory is enough, then we never get to find the truth. And I think that's what has got us into this mess. The truth has been hidden away from us. Maybe at one time we've all known it, but through wars, through history being changed, being written by winners, we've been given a history that quite literally, daily, it's being changed because something comes up that puts a date line here and then makes this date line out there. You've got the Tartaria stuff, the mud flood stuff, all these mud fossils, questions being asked. You've got a guy there who's got a rock that he's extracted DNA. He's got the results saying from this rock it's DNA, and it's like a foot that's that big, Jason, and it's DNA in it. Now, what do you say to that? He's got the test results from an independent laboratory. What do you're a nutter, you're a dick. What do you say to this? Everything's false because it's just one fella who's done a bit of his own work. I don't think I'm bold enough to say that I can compute that he's an idiot. He's done something that I haven't done. We should look at his work. We should ask bigger companies to do it, but nobody will do it. So when you're asking big companies questions, like I asked British Gas about the negotiable instruments, they've run away. Because if they tell me what this negotiable instrument is and then they fulfill their obligations, people will realise what they should be doing in a debt-based economy. How can they let that cat out the bag? Now you see why the courts are involved in this, to cut people off. There's got to be a way, and it's got to be unlocking those doors. That's where I'm at. That's where my path went. Other people lock themselves at thingy sites. They do lock-ons and stuff like that. That's not in my remit. I need people like them to do that. They're heroes as much as anybody. Yet people who I know say, "Oh, 20 minutes late because of them idiots at Barton Moss." I'm saying those people are stopping your water table getting poisoned, because once the water table's gone, you're reliant. So food and water is being used as weapons. They've used it to make people ill. All this stuff is fact out there, yet it's all theory. So I'm an idiot because I say, look at these facts, but I'm a conspiracy theorist. Yet when we talk about geoengineering, it's still a theory. When we talk about flat Earth and atmospheres and vacuums existing without a barrier, it's theory. It all comes down to our best guess. So we've got to keep asking questions. If we don't, and we accept things, that you accept control. And that's what I said to Aid earlier on, that every man and woman has got to accept their responsibility. in this. It's not down to what other people have done. It's certainly not Labour's fault we're in this position, and it's not Conservatives' fault. It's people's fault.
It's our fault, yeah. I was just about to say, oh God, I was just about to say, we live in a faith-based economy. Now, that don't mean to say that you need to be religious or follow anything, but, you know, if you think because a piece of paper comes through your door that you've got to do something, that it's written on it, then, you know, that is, if we need to remove people from faith. So how do we do that? How do we get people to come away from faith? Because people will grab onto that and stick to it, and because they don't know what else, and if they don't, you know, if they don't believe in that, then they're going to have to look somewhere else. So, you know, how do we get through it all? Or do we, like we've said billions of times before, do we have to wait for it to affect everybody before we get people running into buildings and dragging out politicians and prime ministers and fucking paedophiles?
Well, that's just it. How good a job has the establishment done where Prince Andrew can make an absolute fuckery of himself and the establishment with that interview, where it's obvious that there's raging pedophilia going on throughout the establishment, throughout politics, banking, judiciary, councils. There's obviously massive amounts of sex trafficking going on. What's happened? Nothing. What are the people doing? Nothing. And I mean on the mass scale, because they all got to get up and go to work and pay the bills. And until something affects that and draws people's attention, people stay under the radar and they'll get through the week, and then they'll get 8 cans for a Friday night and weekend off, brilliant, and it's that merry-go-round. It's just like the magic roundabout. That's all. That's all we're doing. And until the roundabout stops, or you get thrown off it, or you get off it yourself, I can't see what would change that. You know, it's the allegory of the cave, isn't it? You go into the cave and say, "Hey, it's all happening out here, you know. You're a dickhead, you dickhead. It's all in here. Look at the shadows and everything." It's all an illusion what people are looking at, Jason. And everybody's got their own individual illusion. My illusions were just taken from me and just torn up right in front of me. I had no option but to look at how the hell have you just done that? And my revelation started from there. When you sat before somebody who's legally trained at land registry, who are telling you the correct answers, but not actually telling you, where I'm saying you've taken a property without any signatures. I've bought a house. I sign, it's witnessed. They sign, it's witnessed. We change contracts. Property title gets changed. Deeds changed. You've done that without any signatures. Said, all we need is a county court stamp. And I said, so you're a paper clearing warehouse for the justice system and the banks to steal people's property. And she went, I can neither confirm nor deny that. So when you start to realise those truths, when you realise banks don't lend money, that the justice system work with the banks, where'd you go? Where'd you go? It's the same question as, you know, throw it out to the Madeleine McCanns. The cadaver dogs indicate death everywhere, including on Kate's clothing. Their kids missing. They get a multi-million PR group involved and the Prime Minister. If that's me or you, Jason, we're in jail. I can't start talking about other arguments and concepts until we've dealt with that particular one. And mine is, banks don't lend money. Let's start there. How the hell are you taking people's property when you've got no interest in this? It's because of that agreement that you know nothing about the insurance policy. You're just giving everything to the bank, and the bank just go, thank you very much. Whose fault's that?
Well, it's our own fault, isn't it? Yeah. It's our own fault. But we see what we see perceived losses day after day, after time after time after time, and for somebody to take that on when there's nowhere written down that somebody's won using these arguments, to get out of the mortgage and stuff. I know that perhaps Michael Benisia might argue with me on that point, but not what I.
He's certainly got a foothold. Michael has. He's certainly got something there.
Yeah. So it's like I say. So all I'm trying to just say is that seems for me to be like I had a lot of momentum with Tom Crawford were right at its peak when I was stood outside his courthouse when he were in court, and then coppers were all there, and I got pictures of all coppers all stood in a line holding arms to stop us from getting in, and we were even trying to get in. Yeah. But they were stood there and all that sort of stuff, and then it seemed that they were a huge momentum. Then they were big people turned up outside Tom Crawford's house, and stopped for a while at least. Bailiffs repossessing the house, and it were all over the place. But now we've been crushed down, so we can't. If we do have any victories, it's probably only going to be seen by a handful of people on any Facebook feed or on internet or anything, because we've been screwed down by that. So the natural thing to do is to try and take that out of it and try and regain that momentum with actually doing things again, rather than we've become so fucking easy to just sit behind these computers with typing all that sort of shit. But getting up and doing something that takes something, and then when you do that, it makes you feel like you've committed to something. And it makes you feel like you're trying to make a difference.
It's like what you said about. So I'm getting an echo back there. It's like when you were saying about the energy when people get to these meetings and that. When we had two lads turn up from Teesside, so they drove all the way down from Teesside just because I'd advertised it and they'd seen some videos that I'd done, and they came down and they had a lot. They had all their own knowledge. But some of the stuff that they brought that we had, they realised that it was simpler, because even though they understood it, they were in the long grass. Do you get what I mean, Jason? I've always said if it's not simple, you're not correct. You're going into the long grass. You're going playing their game. Take it right down to the simple aspect of every argument, and you stick with that simplicity. Because as soon as you create controversy, that's it, straight into the long grass, and that's where they'll keep you until you run out of money or you make a mistake that they can capitalize on. So it's all about simplicity. And when you talk to somebody and give them such a simple answer to something, and you see that light bulb moment where the light bulb just goes on and says, I've been talking about this for all this, and it's simple with that makes so much sense. That's happened to me many times. It comes down to, you can have too much knowledge, but if you don't understand where you stand in it, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, because you'll just keep dancing around in knowledge. Well, we can all know everything and dance around, but not have any solutions to it. So the solution for me is simple. Keep it simple. All your arguments have got to be simple. Council tax, it's a commercial property tax. Do you live in a business? No. Then where's the remedy? Where's the remedy in your act? Where's the remedy in the act that tells you that you're not liable? It's there. It's there in the act. Go and read it, find it, formulate your argument, do something. An injunction, Part 8 injunction, make the council do something for you. Do it with a utility agent. Do it with TV licensing. Anything that you feel that is passion that you've got to stop. If you've got a family of 4 kids and you're struggling and you just go, right, I'm not going to pay any of my bills, you're an idiot. You're stupid to do that. But learn. Learn while you go. Learn when you come home at the weekend and you have your 8 cans. Have an hour. Digest some information and learn about how this system actually works around you without you even knowing, and you participate in it on every level without even saying, yes, I'll participate. The people think the word consent means, yes, I will. Well, it's amazing how many ways that you can say, yes, I will. There's somebody contacted me recently over getting some information about homeless in Ireland, and they're talking about organising protests, which, you know, it draws attention. I'm more than happy to put the information out, but protest legally is acceptance. If you protest something, it means you're not happy about it, but you're legally accepting it. You have the right to protest. If you've got a kid that you're going to bed, no, I'm not. Guess where that kid's going to end up? Bed. But the kid's got a right to say, no, I'm not going to bed. You're not a dictator. You just know that the rule is that's where you're going. So you've got a legal right to protest anything. You've also got a legal right to shit on yourself and rub it around. It's not going to be very productive, but you've got the right.
Not doing that again.
Not since you're on Wiggy's last.
Hey.
But there you have it. It's people. It comes down to people. The amount of people that argue with me and they start off with "you're a dickhead" or "you know nothing." I mean, I've had people who've trolled me and said that the bills of exchange is absolute nonsense, and I went, "Have you read anything? Do you know anything about a debt-based economy?" And they've openly said, "No, I don't know. I haven't got a clue what you're talking about, but it's nonsense." That for me is the epitome of why this society is so sick, because of cunts like that who think that they are good people. You know, this one in particular is an ex-copper, so he's a good man, eh? Every copper's a good man. Every woman, I very much doubt it. Very, very much doubt it. You've got cunts in every walk of life, but when you've got a cunt who does a job like that, who is willing to ignore what somebody is saying because he's going to ignore that man, he's going to ignore his rights as well. I've seen it many a time with a copper when I put legislation in front of them, Section 26, Criminal Courts and Justice Act, what powers a constable has and what will happen if he goes beyond those powers. I've had coppers commit a breach of the peace by trying to push a warrants officer from the public footpath onto private property. The copper has now breached the peace. Because he hadn't read Section 26, he said, they've never told us about this. I said, why would they tell you? Because you wouldn't have been a prick and just done what you've done. Now, if that man had decided to take that to court, that copper faced up to 7 years custodial for what he's done. Until people start doing that and learning how to take these people, or, you know, we've got the common law courts, they've got convictions, you know, lawful convictions, but there's nobody to enforce it because the police obey their masters. They get the promissory notes from their masters. They've got to work out and pay their bills. So you've got this complete idiocy that is masking truth. And people, you hit the nail on the head, or you touched on it earlier, where people will fight to defend this system. You know, every time you put your hand in that fire, you get burnt. Yeah, but everybody does it. Yeah, but stop doing it, you won't get burnt. But everybody does it. If you've got that mentality, Jace, what the fuck do you do? Because I've had people understand what I'm telling them about the gas, and then I said, you're still going to teach your kids to pay, aren't you? And they've said yes. So despite understanding it, what a debt-based economy is, and having a concept of how it should work and how you're meant to act, I'm still going to teach them to act wrongly. What do you do?
Have you tried to talk to a 22-year-old recently?
25-year-old. 25-year-old.
No idea. The millennials, they've got no fucking idea whatsoever. They haven't.
I'm fortunate that I know there's quite a big demographic between the ages of 21 and 70 I meet a lot of people in those age groups, and on a daily basis. I can speak to many different age groups, people from many age groups, and I'm fortunate that there's a lot of people who the education system haven't really done the number on. They've been able to keep an open mind. I mean, a lot of people I deal with of a criminal element, and they know how to duck and dive. They know that things aren't right, and they've got to cut corners to make things happen for them. And when you give them the concepts, they understand that you can't pay for anything. That's how simple it is. In a debt-based economy, I can't pay because I've got nothing to pay. But I can promise, as long as they can take that promise and promise for something else, and there's an economy and everybody's participating, then everything's fine. It's when you start disemboweling that economy and then you're relying on welfare and then you flood it with inflation. That's when you cause collapses. That's when you see a justice system that it deals with every property as commercial jurisdiction. You then enforce it with the justice, the judiciary, and you're in military, civil, commercial courts. And that kind of commercial law is above everything else. You deal in business, you will pay. So they make sure you deal in business. They deal with your business title. They deal with your commercial property. So you're straight away, you're on a back foot because you've got to prove that you're not commercial. You've got to prove that you're not a business entity. You're not representing a business entity. And you've had people who've gone into these courts and gone, I'm a man. It's pointless. That's absolutely useless going in there saying, I'm a man. I'm a living, breathing man. Blah, blah, blah. That's all they have to do because you've actually turned up. Legally, they can do what they like. The police will legally follow what they want to do, and they'll do anything that they're told to do to you. So the system needs to be locked up. It needs to be overhauled. There are some good people in that system, but those good people will not step forward until other good people start to do something. And that's the biggest problem, Jason. We've got many good people who, even the ones who can understand it, are too shit scared to do anything. That's why we were talking about, has it got to come and impinge on your life before somebody does, isn't it?
Well, I was just thinking to myself, right, I was just thinking, my daughter who's 22 and my stepson who is 19, they have got the first things they did, it was almost as if they'd been taught to do this, but the first things they did, we got credit. My daughter bought a house, which later she bought it with somebody again. She bought it with somebody who then fucked off and everything, so she was left with a house, so she had to sell it. So, and my stepson, we'd got him a car when he passed his driving test last year. We got him a car, and about a week later, he traded it in, and he's got himself a 17-plate Astra, right? So he's driving around in his. So what I'm thinking is, how is it going to affect when this all this stuff? It can't keep replenishing itself. It can't keep replenishing itself. And I know with this age group that's coming through, that they've got more fucking money chucked at them than anybody ever of any fucking part, since civilization began, if you can call it civilization. So what's going to be the big bang for them? Because we had 2008, that were ours, and it rolled because we've got fucking shit mortgages, and that were our fault and everything, and we had to sell fucking what were it, Northern Rock to the government. The government bought Northern Rock, which meant it were publicly owned, and then they sold it at a fraction of its price, and all this.
That's called money laundering.
What's it going to be like for them though when their bubble bursts? And and just to add to that, do you think that will make more of them look at information such as yours that I'm presuming will still be around on the internet at that time, and you know, what will it look like for them? Because it was pretty grim in 2008.
The thing with 2008, that was the test. That was the test bed with Ireland in particular, but the test bed was collapse the mortgage market and take property, and they wanted to see how easily or how hard they could do it. There was a few people that fought really hard against it. You know, Anthony Carlin for one of them, who's still fighting over in Ireland. He was the one that created case law that I used, because they were facing the front lines just as they were. You know, Anthony had been on the front line when it all started with mine. But 2008, the mortgage collapse was the best thing that happened to me personally in regards to mortgages, because my mortgage went from £412 a month, and it eventually settled at 218. It had gone down to £188 a month at one stage. So I saved the best part of £200 on the mortgage collapse a month, whereas they just went and stole people's property. People who were saying, "Look, I can't afford £1,300 a month. I will make you an increased monthly payment, which is lawful, which is legal, which they must accept." But the justice system and the banks in Ireland worked together to take people's property, and they needed to see what kind of kickback they'd get. Now, they haven't had a massive kickback. They've got some people who have fought tooth and nail and are still doing it. But it's like what I said to Anthony and to my mate Jay and the other Irish guys and that I've spoken to. What has happened to the Irish people? They would not have took this shit 20, 30 years ago, yet they're bending over backwards with everything that's changed, all the diversity, all the political correctness. They're turning against their own people. And I see that as part of all the agenda, and then making people homeless and then fining them for being homeless. What does that tell you about where this society wants to go? When it comes down to what you were saying about the people who are making money, when they realize that the money that they make can be just taken away from them like that with just one enter, just pressing enter on the keyboard, and it's all gone because the currency collapses. It doesn't matter how many of those pieces of paper you've got, you can't do anything with it. So it comes back down to, what can you do? Have you got a skill? No. Well, now you're reliant. What are you going to be relied on? You're going to be relied on welfare or a job that they give you. This is how it always ends up as tyranny. And we know where it always goes, Jason. So again, does it come down to people being programmed enough to docilely walk into these, into the pits, into the fires, and burn themselves to death? Or do they have to come at it from a different angle? My angle is, why don't you learn what's going on before it all gets tits up, and then we've got to decide what we're doing? We can come together now and we could stop the justice system just by putting claims in, freedom of information requests, getting really good answers to formulate. People should start doing this. They've got a legal requirement to give you information. Why do you not use that? A lot of people use it for inane stuff, but you can find stuff out. I mean, I don't think it's really what they intended, but they've given it us. It's a tool that they've got.
You imagine though, you're a worker who works in perhaps a manufacturing factory, perhaps let's just say Toyota or something like that, and you're getting into trouble with your mortgage, and really the amount of you've just got the right amount of skill to do your job, but also it only extends to filling in your pools coupon on the outside. So what are we going to be doing about these people? Are they just going to be thrown to the wolves? Because we're talking about fucking. This is the thing, is that, like, this is what bullies do. anybody who puts up a challenge or does anything, it's going to be dragged out for years and years and years and years. The ones they want are the people that don't know, and they're just going to get the fucking house took off them, basically for fuck all, after they've already paid it off about 3 times over.
Yeah, the factor is though that, you know, if you're struggling, there's an insurance policy that you should be able to claim on. That's what you have insurance for, isn't it? Yet nobody claims the insurance. Why? Because nobody knows about the insurance policy. The European Parliamentary Directives 2006, section 88/220, something like that, tells you about third-party liability insurance that they must take out. They must take out. So there's only 2 options. The bank has either not taken out, they're now in breach of trust of the agreement, or they have taken it out and they've claimed it and they haven't told you about it because they've stolen your house and sold it. What's going on? People need to know these things. You're signing documents and giving authority to people and you don't even know what they're doing with it. That's down to you, not people, not Labour, not Conservatives. It's down to you. Everybody's guilty of it. Yeah, you've got a mortgage? Yeah, I've got a mortgage. Did you read your terms and conditions? No. Nobody reads the terms and conditions. Do you know you're given a power of attorney to the bank so they can act as you? No. Well, that's what they're doing. They're acting as you and they're lending you your credit and they're just being the middleman and facilitating that credit because your credit is nothing and then they put it into cash and they charge you for that. And that's the banks up, in and out. But as trustees to the policy, if you default, they claim the insurance to pay it off. Now, if you was to get another mortgage, your insurance policy would be higher, therefore your interest payments would be higher, just like any other claim on insurance. And that insurance policy works for credit cards, overdrafts, loans, and mortgages. So people who are struggling with mortgages should be telling the bank to do what they're meant to be doing in the within the trust, within the agreement. But people don't know how to do that, and they go in arguing about different things. And the banks and as we said, the courts work together. So the banks can't go for repossession because you can't repossess something that you've never possessed. So they'll go for foreclosure, but you can't foreclose on anything if you haven't got a stake in it. Have I caused you loss? Have you loaned me something that I've lost and I need to compensate you? No. People need to know this. But again, Jason, it comes back. How do we get people interested? You know, how do we get people interested into knowing how much their lives could be so much better? Because when I tell them they're not liable for council tax, gas, water, and electric are free, and that mortgages, banks don't lend money, and that if you're failing with your mortgage, you can claim the insurance and pay it off, I get shouted at and called names for pointing all those things out because everybody pays for a mortgage. Everybody's got to pay bills. Where'd you go with that?
Back to the old slapping of the head. Well, yeah. Listen, Webby, we're about up on time. We've got about 3 minutes left, so I just want to fill this 3 minutes. Just let everybody know who you're going to have on your show. If you're going to have anybody on your show, if you've got any guests lined up or anything like that, and also tell everybody also about your meetings as well. So if anybody who's listening is in the area, might want to just pop in, and they'll know where you are.
Yeah, well, the Webster report, I've not got guests lined up as such. I've got a few guests who are wanting to come on, but I've never been able to nail their hat on, especially with Christmas. Michael Abernathy got in touch just before Christmas. He was planning on, he said, I might be able to do it before Christmas, but I've never been able to, I've not even got back in touch with him because I've been working. So it's going to be quite a fluid thing, but I'd like to be able to go live, and then if anybody's listening or thereabouts, people come on and have a general conversation like we're doing now, just what you did when you left that poor lad on sniffing his earwax the other week. You know, get people on who've got things to talk about. You know, not come on and say, let's talk about stuff. If they've got things to talk about, you know, they've got things that they're doing or they've got opinions on what's going on. Those are the kind of shows that I'm looking forward to doing, because that's how I've orientated with this meeting now. We're going to start advertising, trying to get people to come who are locally, people who are from other areas to come, see what we're doing, see what we're working with, then bring stuff to see what they're working with and see if any of it mixes. And if we can do that, as well as being on social media and doing it through internet, if we can do that physically, you start to meet people and you get that energy and you start to change consciousness. All of a sudden, you've got that possibility of that 100th monkey syndrome, where instead of just sitting around that monkey scratching its ass, that monkey goes, I think I'll have a go at that. And they'll go, it's about monkey see, monkey do.
That monkey might be scratching its arse one day and then think, "Ooh, I'll listen to that Raconteurs news."
It might just go, "That's Webby had it right all this time." Bills of exchange. That's what it'll be. Well, the meeting itself, it's every 2 weeks. There's one on the 9th, which is this Thursday, 8 o'clock at the Presidential Bar in Ashton and Makerfield, Wigan. And it'll be every 2 weeks. I advertise it on the Webster Report Facebook page. I advertise it on my own Facebook. And I also advertise it on the banks and the bailiffs and other sites as well. So you can pretty much find it. If you Facebook it, the Webster Report, you can find everything off there.
Excellent. Well, whenever I see it on social media, I'll share it anyway. I'm sure people that are listening tonight have had quite a good response tonight. I think we've averaged about 60 people watching live at once, so it's been pretty, that's where it is at the moment. So listen, Webby, thank you very much for coming on.
No, good stuff, man.
I've got a couple of guests. I've got a couple of guests getting lined up. One of them is Rob Alford, so I'm going to see if I can get Aidy to do that one. We'll be doing something very, very soon. Hopefully, I might do something tomorrow night. I might get.
Will you be talking about Israel with Rob?
The what? Sorry.
Will you be talking about Israel with Rob?
No. Actually, Iran and Iraq. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. You've been superb. Everyone in the chat room. Thanks to Webby and AD, who fucking pissed off earlier because he's a part timer. See you in a bit.